Hey, thanks for joining me again. Today we're going to break down why being seen is so damn uncomfortable. We're coming off the heels of a really cool episode with Kate Brown where we talked about marketing, exposure, and really standing out in a sense. And now we're going to break down why the theory behind that is one thing, but then actually getting out and doing it is another. Let's get into it. Like I said in the intro, we're going to break down why being seen is so uncomfortable. For me, in my job, in my careers, in my life, and in my past, all that kind of stuff, and really day to day, I have really had to push myself to get out there, push myself to be seen and to be noticed. I've joked around with people before in the past that, it's not anymore, but my perfect spot would be walk into a room and nobody knows I'm there, nobody knows I leave, right? Not necessarily the best way to go through and live your life, and especially not the best way to go ahead and build a business or really influence and impact other people. But realistically, I think I would understand just as well or better than most why being seen is really uncomfortable. So kind of educated on the fact and kind of think I'm somebody that can offer some wisdom here. For me, the big standout as to why being seen is so uncomfortable is because it's so personal, right? Like realistically, there's the ability we all have to just kind of float around in the background, kind of sneak through the shadows, and just kind of live our life in a very inconspicuous way, right? Just stay off the radar kind of thing. I think that's good. That fits for some people. But if you're here today, if you're listening to this, you probably have something that you're really pushing towards, you're striving to. Often that's a business. Often that's connecting with people. I don't really know what it is, but there's a lot of ways that just being seen and getting out there can really help that process. So I guess the one that stands out to me, if we go back to like these episodes and stuff like that, what these lean towards is fitness. I'll kind of get this out of the way early because I don't think this isn't really a fitness episode, right? But that being said, anytime you're trying to learn something, whether you're trying to learn workouts or trying to learn diet or nutrition or, just trying to gauge how to have better energy, anytime you try and learn something, I think it's really valuable, again, to just surround yourself with people that are like-minded, have similar goals, and best case scenario, we've talked before in the past about getting a coach or getting that accountability system set up. And often what that turns into is, as even with an accountability partner, if you're going to work out with somebody or go for a run with somebody, you're being seen, right? We talked about a few episodes ago, the ability to give up, and giving up is so easy. A lot of that is because if we don't let ourselves be seen in that action or be seen in that commitment, who's going to stop you or who's going to drag you out of bed at 5 a.m. to go for a run or at 8 a.m. to go for a run, whatever that is for you, right? If you need a coach, if you need a personal trainer, who's going to do that? If you get a personal trainer, then even if it's one-on-one with a professional, you're still just kind of like, here's all my faults, here's all my failures, here's all my weaknesses. And that's just really uncomfortable to kind of like, just kind of totally expose yourself. I guess not expose yourself, but totally expose yourself in that way to somebody, right? Here's all my cards, here's everything, right? So like I say, that's the fitness aspect. I think for most in this situation, for me, this really, resonates with more of a marketing perspective, a relational perspective, influence, how to connect with people, all that kind of stuff. So if we want to go back to marketing, like again, if you haven't checked out the episode with Kate that dropped a couple weeks ago, you definitely want to, I hate to say it, but you pause this one, go check that one out first. It's really valuable. There's a lot of really good insight in there. Okay, I'll pause. Okay, now we're back. So thanks for checking out that episode. I think if we're talking about marketing and the impact of being seen, obviously now that you're coming after that episode, you're seeing that, we need to connect with people. That's got to be the biggest priority, right? That's got to be the focus, is learning how to connect with people and really make change in their life, right? show them that you can be somebody that they can count on, all that stuff. But I hate to say it, in order to connect with people, in order to really impact people, they have to notice you, right? If you're going to connect with them, like I said, you walk in a room and you hide in the back, you hide in the shadows, whatever that is, people just genuinely don't see you. And I think you need to realize that the gift you have, the person you are, you're a blessing to those around you, and you should get out and you should kind of like put yourself in front of people in different situations to share your values, right? To share your life and really positively impact people. But again, in order to really impact people, in order to build those relationships, in order to build your business, you can have the best product in the world, and you can have, I don't know what it is. You can have a cure for cancer. You can have the best iPhone app. You can have whatever that is. But if people have never heard of it, if doctors can't find it, then you're no good to anybody. So you really need to just push through that and again, share with the world your values and share with the world what you're trying to highlight. And I think that's crucial. So again, we don't really like doing that because it's personal. You say, if you have a new idea, new tech, new plan, new system, whatever it is, new haircut, as soon as you share it with the world, there's automatically that sense of, there's fear, right? There's fear that comes with it. The fear of being exposed, the fear of being judged, the fear of imperfection, right? If you share, I got this new great thing, I want to help you with it, and then all of a sudden it's a total flop and it doesn't work. There's all that kind of stuff that comes up. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's a very real thing. It's again, we've talked about that before. Your mind is there to protect you. And if your mind doesn't remind you that you should be scared of new things, it's not really doing its job. I listened to a Jay Shetty episode a while ago, and I referenced it again with Kate, but listen to that episode. And this episode really moves past the fake it till you make it kind of thing, which I've always kind of had in the back of my mind, but it never really sits well. Fake it till you make it just doesn't feel good, right? But really he flipped it, and it's just do it till you're good. So if you have something, whether it's perfect or not, whether you have a tool that needs to be honed or a skill that needs to be figured out, just start doing it. And I think you need to do it, and you need to show people you're doing it, and get better in front of people, if that makes sense. Because confidence doesn't come before that exposure, right? If you're really, really good at something, if you're really, really good at something, the confidence behind that skill does not happen if you're just doing it on your own, right? The confidence really comes from sharing that skill, sharing that gift, sharing that talent with people, being public with it, and then you build the confidence. For me, I was talking to a friend of mine that wants to sing. Very talented person, very musical. He's a musician, but just kind of does it on his own. So now he wants to sing, but he doesn't have the confidence for it. He's a great singer. He's a great guitar player. Doesn't have the confidence to do it. So this year he's on a journey to put himself out there, get uncomfortable, and sing in front of people. Because regardless of how good of a singer you are, you need to put yourself out there and build that confidence by just going and doing it. So again, we talked about all those metaphors, all those things with Kate last time about Jay Shetty and how he walks into a room and he's still scared, right? But you just have to do it first. But I think it's just a really good reminder that you don't necessarily have to be good at something, and you don't have to impress everybody. You just have to start doing it, and trust that somebody out there is going to find value in what you're sharing, whether it's a new client, new relationship, new business partner, anything like that. Somebody's going to find value in the way you do things, but the first thing you have to do is put it out there. Make the post, make the phone call. It's not that scary. Start small, all that kind of stuff. This is really just a reminder just to start that action. When I think about fear for putting yourself out there, I think a really good analogy for me is the fact that there will be negativity, right? There will be negative reactions. There will be hurt caused, right? Or maybe you cause it, maybe somebody else causes it. There will be comments, there will be, people that mock or laugh or anything like that. And I think for me, especially, I can't speak to you or everybody out there, but I think for me, for a long time, I let that really impact what I actually did, to the point where I didn't do what I wanted to do. And I know that I missed out on time and opportunities by just staying quiet and kind of being that, being that quiet person in the back of the room kind of thing. Because you don't want to get hurt, right? You really don't want to get hurt because it does suck. It doesn't matter how much I sit here and say, don't worry about it. It sucks. It freaking sucks. You do something new, you put something out there, you make a post, you offer a service and somebody laughs at you, or somebody says, why the hell would I buy this? Or somebody makes fun of your new haircut. Whatever that is, it sucks. I don't care how confident you are. There's going to be a little piece of you that gets nicked, right? A little bit of a cut to the soul, or whatever you want to say, a punch in the gut. But it does suck. So the analogy for me that really stands out is, a scar, right? When I do something new, this is kind of an extreme, but when I do something new, you get impacted by, say, for instance, I make a post, I do this video, and I've had it with this podcast, right? You put something out there and you're like, oh, this is cool. I think people will resonate with this. And naturally, the people that really resonate do it quietly, right? We got to keep that in mind. People that are really positively impacted often are like really fulfilled, but they stay back and just kind of like, man, it was really cool that Brenton did that. I appreciate that. Good for him. But I typically don't hear that, right? And that would be the same for you if you're, we were talking with Kate about the yoga practice, right? Most people are going to enjoy that. They're going to find value in that. They're going to watch along and they're going to get a lot of benefit from it. But just with our physiology and our psychology of it, not our physiology, with our psychology behind it, we're not necessarily wired to be outlandish and say like, wow, awesome, that was good, appreciate it. We are, again, because we're kind of, a lot of us have a negative bias, we're wired to, if we feel that it's negative, that's when we get vocal, right? That's when a lot of people get vocal. So if I put something out there, there's going to be negative backlash, right? I shared a video and it was it was a thing on Instagram. It was me talking about how I'm not that tall. I thought it was funny, but like the first comment was, wow, I've never watched a video for so long for it to go absolutely nowhere. I was like, oh shoot. Like I didn't realize that until I watched back. And naturally, yes, I rambled too much. I went too long. I didn't really have a point in that. Unless you listen to the whole episode, it maybe doesn't make a lot of sense. And that kind of cut me a bit, right? That kind of nicked me and gave me a little scar. I pushed through it and left the video up and stuff like that because it's what I wanted to do. And I'm just, again, a lot better at just not worrying about others' opinions as of late. But the reality is that impacted me. I remember that comment and I remember, and now I have that little scar tissue from that. A lot more so than the positive comments or the texts I got. You know what I mean? Like that, those negative ones just stand out a little bit differently. So not only do we have the negative bias as the consumer sometimes, we often, as the producer of this content, of this product, we also are wired to have that protective mindset where if there's something negative, we want to protect ourselves. So that's what we focus on because we need to go away from the negative, right? It's really a lot easier to focus on negative, to go away from negative, than it is on focusing on positive to go directly to the positive. That's just how our brains are wired. Somewhere in an old episode, I know I talk about a lot in my coaching with agents at the office, but talk about my little theory. I think it was a Tony Robbins thing. I call it my line theory. I don't know what it's called, but the fact that like, if our brain wasn't wired to protect us from negative, we would be cave people, thousands of years ago, or whatever. And living in a cave, we would just walk up to a lion and just give it a big hug because it looks so cute and so fluffy and it's just so nice, right? But the reality is, as a cave person, we needed to be wired to stay away from that danger and not assume everything is cute and fluffy and nice, right? So that's that negative bias that we're talking about, just hardwired in our brains. So again, that comment, the stuff that, we've all done stuff, we've all made mistakes, we've all put ourselves out there and got shot down or knocked down a peg. So that leaves a little bit of that scar tissue. But to me, that's very, very valuable. Not only is it a reminder to fail forward and learn from that event, but the more you do it, and I'm really finding this we'll say in the social media aspect or putting yourself out there online. And I found this with real estate calls in the same way. The more you do it and the more negativity you get, you kind of build up a thicker skin, right? If you look at it the right way, you build that thick skin. And that the wording thick skin to me relates right back to a scar. So again, I got cut, I got impacted, I got, damaged from this comment or whatever it was, this reaction. But the beautiful part about it is a scar, similar to a broken bone. Scar tissue on your skin, the way that works is your skin is very soft. It's stretchy, it's elastic, all that kind of stuff. Very efficient. It does the trick. But if you get cut really bad, the first thing it has to do is repair quickly, right? So that skin grows just ultra fast compared to, skin growth standards. But that grows very, very fast. And what happens is that scar grows back very strong. It's very dense. It's quick and it's very rigid. So that skin on that scar is actually stronger than the rest of your skin. So for me, that analogy means, if I can translate that into real world, I do a thing. I put a video out. I get blasted out in this video. Okay, that's fine. It's not going to it's not the end of the world. And I can use that. I can fail forward. I can learn from that. And effectively, now that I've learned from that scar tissue, next time I get some negative reaction, I'll just keep trying. And that negative reaction will hurt a little bit less, right? That's kind of where I'm trying to go with this. The next thing about scars is not only do they help you learn, but I think a scar is kind of cool. I hate to say it, but even I have I'm not a fighter, I'm not an MMA, I'm not a mountain climber, I don't have big scars everywhere, but I have a couple small scars and they remind me of lessons that I've learned. And if I tell this story, it's actually kind of fun. And it wasn't fun in that situation. So I'll tell you about a couple scars I have. I have one right here that's in between my index finger and my thumb. It's really quite small. It's only, an inch, half an inch. And so what I was doing when I was young, I was chopping wood and you can't see because of the mic, but I was chopping wood and I was holding a piece and I was making kindling and I just axe slips or the hatchet slips and catches me right on the web of the thumb kind of thing. Obviously that didn't feel great. I was probably 10 years old, probably freaked out. So now I have this little scar here. But every time I was chopping wood after that, I would see the scar. Or for the first summer, I would see the scab, right? So it was good red flags hey, don't be an idiot. Don't chop wood. And that's what I was doing. Don't do that again. But essentially, so not only did that piece of skin heal back quickly, that little piece of skin healed back stronger than the rest of my skin, but also that's a reminder that, that hurt, that sucked, but now I've learned from it and I can move forward, and I haven't cut myself chopping wood since. Bad, I guess. I'm sure I have, but so again, just a really good one. The other thing that's kind of cool about this really tiny scar is the other day, it was actually a while ago, myself and one of my kids, I think we were watching a movie. I probably had my arms over my daughter's shoulder or something like that. And she was kind of just smacking my hand around or whatever. And she noticed I had this little scar. And she said, "What is that?" And it was an opportunity for me to share the story, which was really, really cool. So again, situation, cut my thumb, got a scar. I learned from it. I don't chop wood that way anymore. And now it's a story that I can share, that I can pass on with other generations, other people, other business owners, whatever that is, right? And there was a certain sense of pride when I was explaining it. There was definitely a sense of pride when I was explaining it to my daughter, how I got the scar and how I learned a lesson and how I taught her the lesson. And that sense of pride is really, really cool because it's a life lived, right? It's things done. It doesn't always have to be like massive accomplishments, but I did this and I messed up and I won't do that again, right? There's a sense of pride that comes along with that. So yeah, I think just really, really cool insight into what that actually looks like and putting yourself out there. It will suck, right? I'm not going to lie to you. Like if you're a salesperson, the first time you sit down in a car dealership and they say you got to call 40 people today, you're going to get rejected. Now it's going to feel like crap. Like it's not going to be fun. But now you talk to these car salesmen, salespeople. I have a friend of mine that works at a dealership, and for them it's like, yeah, we call, the standard is I call 20 people a day. And I'm just like, that's awesome. Like, how do you do that? You must get rejected all the time. He's like, yeah, it's fine. You work through it. And so you build up that thicker skin, you build up that scar tissue, and you get more resilient through doing it. So I just think it's really, really cool. And that, to me, that's a reminder that no scars usually mean no reps. So if you don't have the damage done and if you don't have the scar tissue, that typically means you're not trying a whole bunch of stuff. So if you don't have the stories about why you can make 20 calls right now, it's because you never called 20 people in the first place and you never got rejected 20 times, right? Because the reality is that's life. You get rejected a lot. People say no. You got to take it on the chin and move on, right? So I think a couple things that to kind of close out a bit here, because it's a little bit of a shorter episode, but to kind of close out, we kind of discussed the importance of standing out, why it sucks, how to kind of reframe that suck, embrace the suck. It is what it is. You learn from it. But I think the next thing I want to point out is the cost of not standing out, because to stand out is, tough. It costs things. Standing out is uncomfortable. Standing out is putting yourself out there, risking bad reaction. But invisibility is not neutral. Invisibility is not safe. Invisibility is extremely expensive. You think of all of the things that you miss out on by leaning on the wall at the back of the school dance, by staying at the back of the line and not getting the autograph, by not jumping off that cliff in Mexico, like a safe cliff. Don't jump off a tall cliff. I'm going to have to scrape that. But anyways, invisibility is not neutral. It's extremely expensive. So you got to realize that when you have the opportunity to put yourself out there, just because it feels like it costs a lot to stand out, it's still much cheaper than hiding. And invisibility feels very, very safe, but it blocks trust, it blocks connection, and it blocks out a ton of opportunity. So just a real reminder to stand out, do your thing, post the video, make the macrame, start the yoga class, build the bracelets, make the calls, take that next step. I can't say it enough. The amount of beautiful things you'll be exposed to by just pushing through that discomfort is life-changing. And I hope you're seeing that. So again, really appreciate you joining in. That felt like a fast, furious few minutes. I don't know how much it was, but a reminder, thanks Kate for the last episode when we're really breaking down marketing and what that looks like. If you haven't checked it out, you should have, because I told you to like 15 minutes ago. Now's your time. Check it out, re-listen to it, and then come back here and re-listen to this one. There's a lot of nuggets in here, and I think combined there is the information about marketing, building connection, and really all the cool stuff about marketing and and the science behind it that she broke down is just really cool. But now we've kind of taken another step in that direction and leaned back into standing out. If you want to do all that stuff, if you want to connect with people, if you want to lead, people need to see you. So just get out there, be seen. You got a lot to provide to the world. You got a lot to share. You have a tremendous amount of value to put out there. So just put it out there. Okay. Look forward to seeing your value that you put out. Look forward to supporting you. Tag me on stuff if you share something. We'd love to follow along with your journey as you really share your impact on the world. So thanks for joining in, and look forward to the next one.